Hello students, today we are going to study the very important part of the buccal cavity, and that is the teeth. And we must know that the branch which deals with the study of the teeth is called as the odontology. What it is called as? Odontology. And you must know that the origin of the teeth is ectomesodermal. The origin of the teeth is ectomesodermal. Means I want to say that teeth originate from two embryonic layers. One is known as the ectoderm and another is known as the mesoderm. Remember this thing, that the enamel part of the teeth is ectodermal in origin. The enamel of the teeth is ectodermal in origin, while the major part of the teeth develops from mesoderm. Fine. So I can say that the origin of teeth is ectomesodermal. Fine. Now let's have a discussion on the structure of the teeth. Okay. Teeth is composed of three parts: the crown, neck and the root. Crown, neck and the root. Right. Now where is crown? The outer part of the teeth which is exposed outside our gums. The part of the teeth, remember, the part of the teeth which is exposed outside the gums is called as the crown. This portion, these are the gums, and the part of the teeth which is outside the gums is the crown. Okay. The second part of the teeth which is embedded inside gums, part of the teeth which is embedded inside the gums is called as the neck, or I can say the part of the teeth which is found between the crown and the root, part of the teeth is the neck. Okay. And the last one is the part of the teeth which is inserted inside the socket of the jaw bones, or I can say the part of the teeth which is embedded in the socket of the jaw bones is called as the root. So this part from here to here, this is the root, this is the neck, and the outer exposed part is the crown. It means it is very much clear from the diagram that the major part of the teeth is embedded right in the jaw sockets, and it is called as the root. Okay. Now let's have a discussion on each part of the teeth. The crown, first one is crown. Crown part of the teeth is covered by hard enamel. Now we know that this exposed part of the teeth outside the gum is called as the crown, but the crown part of the teeth is covered by hard enamel. Crown part of the teeth is covered by the hard enamel. We can also say that the visible white colored part is the enamel. Okay. So the crown part of the teeth is covered by hard enamel. Now remember one thing, it is hard, and you must notice this thing, that it is the hardest part in the vertebrate body. Enamel is treated as the hardest part in the vertebrate body. Not only it is the hardest part in the vertebrate body, but in the entire animal kingdom, right? In all the animals, the hardest part is the enamel only, and it is the white part which is visible. Okay. Now the question arises that who secretes the enamel? So enamel is secreted by special cells. Enamel is secreted by special cells called as amyloblast cells. Enamel is secreted by special cells called amyloblast cells of the ectoderm, and you also know that enamel is ectodermal in origin. Okay. Now the question arises that why enamel is so much hard? So the enamel is hard because it consists of the calcium carbonate and the calcium phosphate. So remember this thing, enamel is composed of calcium carbonate and calcium phosphate, and that's why it is the hardest substance known. And one more thing, the element that hardens the tooth enamel, the element that hardens the tooth enamel is the fluorine. Okay, and now just you can see that in between the enamel and the pulp cavity, this is the pulp cavity, this is the pulp cavity, and this is the enamel. In between the enamel and the pulp cavity, right, what is found? Dentine is found. Now bulk of the teeth is made up of dentine. Remember this thing, that the bulk of the teeth is made up of dentine. This is the dentine. This is the dentine. You can say it as it is found between enamel and pulp cavity, or you can say that pulp cavity is surrounded from all sides by the dentine. So bulk of the teeth is made up of dentine, and dentine is present between enamel and pulp. Just now I have said, you can see in the diagram also. Now dentine is mesodermal in origin. You have seen that this enamel was ectodermal in origin, but this dentine, and not only the dentine, major part of the teeth is mesodermal in origin. And now the question arises that who secretes or who produced dentine? So dentine is produced by odontoblast cells. Dentine is produced by odontoblast cells. Dentine is produced by odontoblast cells. Okay, and dentine surrounds pulp cavity. Dentine is surrounding what? The pulp cavity. Okay, and you must also remember this thing, that dentine is hard. Dentine is hard than the bones because of the rich quantity of the calcium present in it. Dentine is harder than bones because of the presence of the calcium in it. Okay, and the pulp cavity is lined by odontoblast layer. Okay, so I can say that pulp cavity is lined by odontoblast layer, and the odontoblast layer consists of odontoblast cells, and odontoblast cells secrete what? Dentine. Clear? So dentine surrounds the pulp cavity, or pulp cavity is lined by the odontoblast layer, and this pulp cavity, which is the cavity of the teeth, contains soft connective tissue. What is present here? Connective tissue is present in the pulp cavity. Not only the connective tissue, it consists of certain blood capillaries. It consists of the blood capillaries, and it consists of the nerve fibers also. And remember one thing, that at the base of the pulp cavity, a aperture or a foramen is present, known as the apical foramen. Here there is apical foramen, and this apical foramen or the aperture is meant for the entry of the blood vessels or the capillaries and nerves in the pulp cavity. And this pulp cavity is necessary for the nutrition and the survival of the teeth. This pulp cavity is necessary for the nutrition and the survival of the teeth. Remember one thing, that in the case of the adults, what happens, that the pulp cavity shrinks. In the case of the adults, pulp cavity shrinks, the odontoblast cells surrounding the pulp cavity become inactive, because of which dentine is not secreted, and that's why the growth of the teeth stops in adults. Okay, growth of the teeth stops in adults. So we can say that as soon as the dentine secretion is stopped, the growth of the teeth will also be stopped. That's why in adults the teeth doesn't grows. Now microbes related to the tooth decay. Sometimes we see that the teeth decays, okay, the tooth decays, and the tooth decay occur with the help of certain microbes found in a buccal cavity, known as the Lactobacillus acidophilus, found in our buccal cavity, which feeds on the carbohydrate, Lactobacillus acidophilus and Streptococcus mutans are the two microbes which are responsible for the decay of our teeth. Okay, now for the healthy teeth, vitamin D is essential, calcium is essential, and phosphorus is essential. Okay, so this must be remembered. And one more thing, that in the diagram you can see that root is surrounded. If you see the outside part, of the root section of the teeth. The root is surrounded by the cement, the root is surrounded and fixed to jawbone by, the root is surrounded and fixed to jawbone. You know very well that human teeth are embedded in the jaw sockets. So the root is surrounded and embedded or fixed to the jawbone with the help of the cement, also called as the cementum or the cementocyte cells, and a vascular periodontal membrane, Is it clear? Now, there is a disease, there is a very common disease associated with our teeth, and that is known as the pyria, which is responsible for halitosis. Halitosis is the bad breath which is actually coming from the buccal cavity. Okay, many persons are suffering from this. So what happens in the pyria? Pyria is the inflammation of the periodontal ligament. Inflammation of the periodontal ligament and the adjacent gums. Clear? What is pyria? In pyria, inflammation of the periodontal ligament and the adjacent gums occur, and which causes pyria. The thing responsible for the pyria are certain bacteria found in our buccal cavity. Okay, so today we have discussed about the teeth and its structure. You can see the enamel, just below the enamel is dentine. Dentine consists of certain processes known as the caniculi, right? Just below the caniculi is the odontoblast cells layer. Just inside the odontoblast layer there is pulp cavity. Pulp cavity consists of the blood vessels and the nerves, and the root of the teeth is actually bounded by the cementum layer and the periodontal membrane, right? So in this entire video I have tried to explain all the things associated with the teeth structure. In the coming video we'll be discussing a lot of things left in the teeth part, so keep watching. Thanks a lot.